It's difficult to imagine an environmental issue that isn't directly or indirectly connected to population. During a recent World Population Day event at the Wilson Center, panelists focused on the subject from the perspective of engaging young people and achieving sustainable development. That's the focus of this edition of Rewind.
For me, World Population Day is about couples. It's about how many children these couples would like to have. It's about women and their rights. It's about men and our responsibilities. It's about our parents and their quality of life. And it's about young people and their potential.
The youth agenda has never been more important now than ever before, with the largest generation of young people in the world that we've ever known. Given the life expectancy that we see now, they will live longer lives. And so basically, we would have to ensure that we equip them appropriately to be able to sustain themselves.
Girls still face the risk of early marriage and pregnancy, which goes beyond just access to services. And unfortunately, in too many countries around the world, as we also have heard, too little has been done to help girls and young women navigate their way to adulthood. In the developing world, 1 in 7 girls is married before the age of 15. Some child brides are as young as 8 or 9. The reasons for such are many, from poor economic conditions to lack of access to education to unequal gender relationships, and again, culture and politics.
I'm also sort of interested in, sort of thinking about the link that you've made around education and employment and young people's sexual and reproductive health, and that we're never going to achieve these sort of economic gains, greater productivity, growth, sort of social movements, unless we take care of people. And not just people, but women and girls, and specifically young people. But if we're not helping, sort of eradicate early forced and child marriage, and if we're not putting comprehensive sexuality education into the schools and into communities, we're not absolutely ensuring that girls are finishing secondary education so that they can go on to be a part of the labor workforce, we're not going to have them to invest in as human resource potential.
In every way, culture is an excuse. And unless we address culture first, some of these issues are not going to be addressed. We have men as the powerful ones in our communities. They're the ones that provide everything, including tuition and the like. If we don't address men first, make sure that they understand what it means for girls to grow up there, women to be also unlocked, then I don't see how the culture and the women are going to be improved.
I never want support for male involvement to come at the expense of programs that are focused on women and that are women-led, but that goes back to casting the vision upwards, that we have more resources to mobilize for this movement, and there is space for more programs around male involvement, more programs around engaging boys. It's something we've talked about within FP 2020 as well. In rights and empowerment, are we only talking about women and girls, or are we talking about men and boys as well? And you can make it sort of a regular vocabulary exercise, which begins to make it a reality in terms of your work and implementation.
Last Earth Day, they had a big campaign for condoms, Earth Day condoms. I'd like you just to talk about sort of the relevance of that to your work. Is it something that sort of, how, I guess, important was that to bring up on the agenda with the environmentalists again?
I think we need to not run the risk of putting population numbers and sort of, kind of pressures on natural resources at the front of it. We need to put, again, empowered women and protecting women's human rights at the front of it, and they actually do take care of some of these environmental challenges. They do take care of pressure on natural resources if you help meet her human rights and help her not have the 5 kids that she didn't want. So I think that the kind of uneasy marriage between the environmental movement and the reproductive health movement is because we didn't put rights first. And there is no development, there is no environmental conservation, there is no successful biodiversity effort without putting human rights first, and specifically the rights of women and girls.
We must never forget that an uneducated, unemployed youth constitutes a security problem for all of us. What we see in Boko Haram is a good example. And it is not just Boko Haram, it is in the rest of the world.
For more information, visit wilsoncenter.org. Click the Programs tab to find additional resources from the Wilson Center's Environmental Change and Security Program.